I had already paid for my water and was reaching for my jacket when the restaurant door burst open and two little girls ran in screaming. They couldn't have been older than 7. They were identical. And they were looking directly at me, a complete stranger, with the specific terror of children who have run out of every other option. "Please," the one on the left said, grabbing my sleeve with both hands. "They're hurting our mom." I left my jacket on the chair. I don't remember deciding to. I was just already moving. "Hi, my beautiful family. Thank you for sticking around with me through our trying times. I really appreciate your love and support. We're finally back again to give you many more beautiful stories. If you're already hooked in for today's story and ready to enjoy it, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Because tomorrow I will be giving you another story just as interesting as this one. And you don't want to miss it. Now let us begin. My name is Grant Holloway. I am 39 years old. I am a paramedic. I have spent 14 years running toward things that most people run away from. Car accidents, cardiac events, apartment fires at 2 in the morning, and I have never once hesitated at the door. But blind dates are a different category of terror entirely. I want to be honest about where I was that night before the girls came in. I was sitting at a table for 2 at a restaurant called Ember in downtown Raleigh, North Carolina, in a collared shirt I had ironed for the first time in 4 months, with a glass of water in front of me and my phone face down on the table because I had promised my friend Cooper I would not check it obsessively. I had been there for 34 minutes. Her name was, according to Cooper, Dana. She worked in marketing. She was funny and smart, and he was certain we would get along. He had shown me a photograph. She had warm brown eyes and a smile that looked genuine rather than performed, and I had thought, privately, quietly, with the specific hope of a man who has been alone for 3 years and is trying not to want things too much, that she looked kind. She had not arrived. I had sent one text at the 7-minute mark. A simple, low-pressure check-in. No response. At the 20-minute mark I flagged the waiter and told him I would be leaving shortly. He nodded with the practiced sympathy of a man who has seen this before. At the 30-minute mark I ordered a glass of water because sitting at an empty table with nothing in front of me felt too nakedly sad to sustain. I should tell you something about the 3 years before that night. I had been married. Her name was Christine. We were together for 6 years, married for 3 of them, and when it ended the way some things end. Not dramatically, not with a single devastating event, but with a long, slow accumulation of distance that we both noticed and neither of us knew how to close. We were good people who were wrong for each other in the specific way that is hardest to explain because there is no villain and no betrayal and no clean story to tell. We finalized the divorce on a Tuesday in November 2 years earlier. I drove home from the attorney's office and sat in my kitchen for a long time and then got up and made dinner and went to bed and got up the next morning and went to work because that is what you do. I had not been on a date since. Until Cooper convinced me, with the patient persistent optimism of a man happily married for 8 years who cannot fully remember what it feels like to be alone, that I owed it to myself to try. So I tried. I sat at the table at Ember Restaurant in my ironed shirt with my face-down phone and my glass of water and I tried. And then I reached for my jacket. And then the door burst open. Have you ever been in the exact wrong place at what turned out to be the exact right time? Tell me in the comments. I want to know your story. The girls were identical in every way that mattered for those first 10 seconds. Same dark braids, same red winter coats, same expression of absolute desperate terror. The one holding my sleeve was slightly taller by maybe half an inch. The other stood one step behind, her hands pressed together in front of her chest like she was praying. Where? I said. Outside, the taller one said. The parking lot. 2 men. They have her purse and they won't let go and she fell and... I was already moving. The restaurant door opened onto a side street that fed into a parking lot behind the building. I heard it before I saw it, a woman's voice, sharp and frightened, saying, "Stop, please stop," and then I came around the corner and saw them. 2 men. Late 20s. One holding a purse by the strap while a woman on the ground held the other end with both hands. She had fallen, or been pushed, and was on one knee on the asphalt with her right hand bleeding from where it had hit the ground. The second man was standing over her saying something low and urgent that I could not hear from 15 feet away. I covered the 15 feet quickly. Hey. My voice came out the way it comes out on a scene. Not loud, not aggressive, just absolutely certain. The voice of someone who has stopped more chaos than these two men would ever generate. Both of them looked up. I am not a small man. 6'2". 14 years of lifting gurneys and patience and equipment. I was still in my collared shirt from the date that wasn't. Let go of it, I said to the one holding the purse. Now. He looked at his partner. Something passed between them, the rapid calculation of men deciding whether the math works in their favor. It did not. The purse dropped. They moved fast toward the street exit and were gone in seconds. I was already crouching beside her. I'm a paramedic, I said. Don't try to stand yet. Let me look at your hand. She looked up at me. I want to be precise about this moment because I have replayed it many times since. She was, despite the asphalt and the bleeding hand and the strands of dark hair across her face and the shock still moving through her, entirely herself. Clear brown eyes. The specific expression of someone who has just been frightened and is already angry about having been frightened and is holding both things simultaneously with a composure that I found, even in that moment, remarkable. I'm fine, she said. Your hand is bleeding, I said. I know what my hand is doing, she said. Behind me I heard small feet on asphalt. Both girls arrived at their mother's side simultaneously, dropping to their knees beside her with the practiced urgency of children who love someone ferociously. Mom. The taller one. Her voice had dropped from terrified to something more complicated. The relief of a child who found help in time layered over the fear of what almost happened. I went back into Ember and asked the hostess for a first aid kit, which they had, and came back to the parking lot where Natalie was now sitting on the low concrete wall at the lot's edge with a twin on each side pressed against her like bookends. I crouched in front of her and opened the kit. This is going to sting, I said. I've had worse, she said. What's your name? I said to the taller twin. Lily, she said. Then pointing at her sister. That's June. How old are you both? 7, June said. We're twins. I noticed, I said. Something shifted in Natalie's expression. Not a full smile. The beginning of one that she was not ready to commit to yet. You were in the restaurant, she said. I saw you when we ran in. You were sitting alone. Blind date, I said. She didn't show. Oh, she said. And then, despite everything, I'm sorry. Don't be, I said. Turns out I was needed elsewhere. I cleaned the cut on her palm, 2 inches. Not deep enough for stitches but significant enough to warrant proper cleaning and wrapping. She sat completely still through all of it. The twins watched with the focused solemnity of children taking notes. You're good at that, Lily said to me. I do it a lot, I said. Are you a doctor? June asked. Paramedic. June considered this. That's better than a doctor, she said definitively. Doctors wait for you to come to them. You go to people. I looked at Natalie. She was watching her daughter with an expression I recognized as the specific love of a parent witnessing their child say something unexpectedly true. She's not wrong, I said. She rarely is, Natalie said. It is exhausting. This time the smile arrived fully. Brief. Real. The specific smile of someone who does not give them away easily. I wrapped her hand. She flexed her fingers experimentally. Thank you, she said again. Genuinely. You didn't have to do any of this. I was a paramedic before I was a man at a table, I said. It's not really a choice. She looked at me for a moment with an expression I could not fully read. Can I call someone for you? I said. Someone to come get you and the girls? We drove, she said. You shouldn't drive with that hand tonight. It's my left hand. Are you left-handed? A pause. Yes, she said. Then you shouldn't drive. She looked at me. Then at the twins. Then back at me with the expression of a woman who is used to solving her own problems and is finding the experience of someone else solving one both useful and slightly disorienting. I can call an Uber, she said. I can drive you, I said. I haven't had anything to drink. My car is in the lot. Lily and June both looked at their mother with the transparent hope of 7-year-olds who have decided they like someone. Please, Mom, Lily said. Natalie looked at her daughters. Then at me. Then at her wrapped hand. Okay, she said. Thank you. Again. It's a good night for it, I said. They lived 20 minutes north of downtown in a neighborhood of older houses with good trees and front porches. Lily sat behind me. June sat behind her mother. Both of them talked for the first 11 minutes with the uninhibited energy of children who have processed a frightening event and come out the other side of it wired and expansive. They told me about their school. Their teacher, Mrs. Petrakis, who was strict but fair. The science project on weather systems that June was certain she was going to win. The soccer team that Lily played on and Natalie coached on Saturday mornings. Mom coaches soccer? I said. She's really good, June said. I played in college, Natalie said. She was looking out the passenger window at the passing streetlights. Her voice was quieter than the girls', recalibrated to something more private. A long time ago. What position? Midfielder. A pause. You played something. I can tell. Baseball, I said. High school. Nothing impressive. You move like someone who played something, she said. Not a compliment exactly. Just an observation. The kind a person makes when they are paying closer attention than they intended to. The girls went quiet somewhere around the 15-minute mark, the specific sudden silence of children whose adrenaline has finally metabolized. By the time I pulled onto their street, June was asleep against the window and Lily was fighting it with the determined blinking of someone who does not want to miss anything. I pulled into their driveway. Natalie turned and looked at her daughters. Something moved across her face in the dark car, the specific expression of a mother looking at sleeping children after something frightening. The fullest kind of relief. The kind that has weight. I've got them, I said quietly. You don't have to. I'll carry June. She's out completely. You take Lily. She looked at me for a moment. Then nodded. We got the girls inside together. June over my shoulder like a small warm sack. Lily walking with her eyes mostly closed, holding her mother's good hand. Natalie got them both into bed with the practiced efficiency of a woman who has done every bedtime alone for long enough that she has refined it to its essential components. She came back to the kitchen where I was waiting and leaned against the counter and looked at me with the direct quality of someone who has decided to stop managing the situation and just be in it. Can I make you coffee? She said. It's the least I can do. You don't owe me anything, I said. I know, she said. I want to. Then yes, I said. Thank you. Have you ever done something instinctively, without thinking, and realized afterward that it was the most important thing you ever did? Tell me below. The kitchen was warm and slightly cluttered in the way that houses with children are warm and slightly cluttered. Drawings on the refrigerator, a soccer ball in the corner, 2 small pairs of muddy cleats by the back door. It felt like a home that was genuinely lived in rather than managed for appearances. She made coffee without asking how I took it, and then set both cups on the kitchen table and sat across from me, and I realized she was the kind of person who makes coffee the way they want it and assumes you will say something if you want it differently. I did not want it differently. How long have you been doing it alone? I said. She looked at me. Not offended. Just measuring how much to say. For years, she said. Since the girls were 3. That's a long time. It is and it isn't, she said. You stop counting at some point. It just becomes the shape of your life. What happened? I said. And then immediately, you don't have to answer that. Divorce, she said simply. He left. Not for someone else, just left. Said he wasn't built for it. The family life. Said he loved us but couldn't do it. She wrapped both hands around her coffee mug, then winced at the wrapped hand and switched to just the right. I used to be angry about the way he said it. Like he was being honest and brave rather than just leaving. Are you still angry? She thought about it honestly. No, she said. I'm tired of being angry. And the girls are good. We're good. She looked at the refrigerator covered in their drawings. We figured it out. You coach their soccer team, I said. Someone had to, she said. And then, with a sideways quality. What about you? The blind date. You were sitting alone in a collared shirt on a Friday night. That's a specific kind of hopeful. I looked at my coffee. Divorced, I said. 2 years. No kids. My friend Cooper thought it was time. Was he wrong? I thought about the empty chair at the table. The face-down phone. The glass of water. Not entirely, I said. She smiled at that, real and brief and directed at her coffee rather than at me, which somehow made it more genuine. The girls liked you, she said. June told me paramedics are better than doctors. She tells everyone that now, Natalie said. Since the ambulance came from my mother last year. She stood on the porch and watched the paramedics work and decided they were the most important people in the world. She paused. Maybe she was right. We sat in the warm kitchen for another 40 minutes. We talked about her job. She did architectural drafting from home. Had been doing it since the girls were born. We talked about mine, the shifts, the things you see, the way you learn to carry it. We talked about Raleigh and where we had each grown up. Her in Asheville, me in a small town outside Richmond. At some point, the conversation stopped being two strangers being polite after an unusual night and became something else. The specific ease of two people who have unexpectedly found the right frequency. When I finally looked at the time, it was 11:47. I should go, I said. You should, she said. Neither of us moved immediately. Natalie, I said. Grant, she said. Can I call you? She looked at me steadily. Yes, she said. I think you should. I called her the next day. A Saturday. She was at soccer practice, coaching Lily's team in the November cold, and she answered out of breath and laughing about something one of the 7-year-olds had just done, and the sound of it, her laugh unguarded and completely real, was one of the best things I had heard in a long time. We talked for 20 minutes while she walked the sideline. I could hear the girls in the background. At some point, Lily apparently grabbed the phone and said hi Grant with the complete confidence of a child who has decided something and is acting accordingly. I started finding reasons to be in their neighborhood. Not manufactured reasons. Real ones. The hardware store 2 blocks over. The coffee place on the corner of their street that turned out to actually be the best in Raleigh. I mentioned this to Natalie and she said she had been going there for 3 years and she was glad I had finally discovered it like she had personally built it. 3 weeks after the parking lot, I coached the last soccer game of the season alongside her. She had asked casually, they were short a parent volunteer, and I had said yes casually. I was free that Saturday, and we both pretended it was logistical rather than what it actually was. June scored a goal. Lily assisted. After the game, both girls ran at me simultaneously and I caught them both, one under each arm, and Natalie stood 10 feet away watching with her arms crossed and an expression that she was not entirely successful at keeping neutral. That evening the 4 of us had dinner at their kitchen table. I brought the food, she made the table. The girls set the plates in the specific chaotic way of children helping who are more enthusiastic than precise. After dinner, the girls did homework at the table while Natalie and I cleaned the kitchen side by side. The domestic ordinariness of it was the most extraordinary thing I had experienced in years. I washed. She dried. We talked about nothing important. Her shoulder was 4 inches from mine. You fit here, she said quietly. Not looking at me. Drying a plate. I set the next dish in the rack without answering because some things are better received in silence. December arrived and with it a complication I had not anticipated. Her ex-husband called. His name was Brendan. He was in Seattle. He had, apparently, decided that 4 years of distance had given him sufficient perspective to want back in. Not fully. Not in the way that would require showing up and doing the work, but in the way of phone calls and texts and the specific presence of a man who wanted to reserve his options without committing to any of them. Natalie told me about it on a Tuesday evening on her front porch. She was direct about it. She always was. But there was something underneath the directness that I recognized as uncertainty. Not about Brendan. About herself. He wants to see the girls at Christmas, she said. That's reasonable, I said. He wants to stay here. In the house. I was quiet. I told him no, she said immediately. Obviously no. But it opened something up. The girls found out he called and now they're asking questions I don't know how to answer and I feel like everything that was settled has become unsettled and, she stopped. I don't know what I'm doing, Grant. With the girls. With you, she said. With this. Whatever this is. It's been 6 weeks. They're already attached. You're already, and if this doesn't. Natalie. I don't want them to lose someone else, she said. Her voice was very level. The specific levelness of someone holding something that wants to break. I can't do that to them again. I sat with that for a moment. That's not a small thing, I said. No, she said. It isn't. What are you asking me? She looked at me. I don't know, she said honestly. I think I'm asking you to be honest with me about what this is. Because I can't afford to be wrong about it. I drove home that night without resolving anything. The conversation sat with me heavy and specific. Not because she had said something wrong, but because she had said something completely true and I needed to sit with what it asked of me. I did not call for 4 days. On the 4th day, Lily texted me from Natalie's phone. I knew it was Lily because it said, "This is Lily, I found your number." A single message. Are you coming back? I sat in my apartment and looked at that message for a long time. I called Cooper on the 4th night. He answered immediately. I heard you went quiet on the Voss situation. Natalie told you. Her friend Amy told my wife. My wife told me. A pause. What's going on? I told him. The parking lot. The 6 weeks. The kitchen. The soccer game. The porch conversation. Lily's text. Cooper was quiet for a moment. Grant, he said. Can I say something honest? Please, I said. You have been the most careful man I know for 2 years. You have treated your own life like a crime scene, not touching anything, not disturbing anything, waiting for something to be safe enough to approach. And now something arrived that is real and good and you are applying the same caution to it that you apply to everything else. I looked at my apartment. At the walls with nothing on them. At the life I had kept deliberately minimal. She's scared, I said. Of course she is, Cooper said. She has 2 7-year-olds and a history of someone leaving. What she's asking you is whether you're the kind of man who stays. I don't know how to prove that, I said. You show up, Cooper said. That's the whole answer. You just show up. I sat in my empty apartment for another hour after we hung up. I thought about Christine and the distance that accumulated. I thought about the empty chair at the table at Ember. I thought about the door bursting open and 2 girls in red coats looking directly at me with the desperate trust of children who have run out of options. I thought about Natalie saying I don't want them to lose someone else. I thought about what it means to be the kind of man who stays. Then I got up and put on my jacket. It was a Saturday morning. 7:43 am. I drove to the soccer field where I knew they would be, last practice of the year. Cooper had mentioned it, the one where the parents bring food and the kids get certificates and everyone takes photographs in the November cold. I parked and walked across the wet grass. Natalie saw me from 50 yards away. She was standing at the sideline in her coaching jacket with a clipboard, and when she saw me she went very still in the way she went still when she was deciding something. I walked until I was standing in front of her. The girls had not seen me yet. They were on the far end of the field in a cluster of 7-year-olds attempting a drill with the cheerful chaos of children for whom effort and outcome are only loosely related. You showed up, Natalie said. I should have 4 days ago, I said. I'm sorry I went quiet. I needed to think and I took too long. She waited. I'm not Brendan, I said. I'm not going to tell you I'm not built for it. I'm a paramedic. I run toward things. It's the only direction I know. She looked at me steadily. Natalie, I said. I know it's been 6 weeks. I know that's nothing on paper. But I know what I feel and I know what kind of man I am and I am telling you directly. I am not going anywhere. The field was cold and bright around us. Somewhere behind me I heard a small voice yell Grant at approximately the volume of someone who has been waiting 4 days to yell it. Both of us turned. Lily was running across the wet grass at full speed. June was 3 steps behind her. Always 3 steps behind, always the one who assesses before she acts. Both of them in their red team jerseys. Both of them with the specific joy of children who have just seen someone they were afraid had disappeared. I crouched and caught them both. One under each arm. Same as the last game. They were talking simultaneously. Lily about the drill they had been practicing, June about the certificate she was going to get, and I held them both and looked up at Natalie over their heads. She was watching us with both hands in her jacket pockets and an expression she had stopped trying to manage. "Okay," she said quietly. Just that. But the way she said it, the specific weight of it, meant something much larger than the word. I stood up. The girls kept talking. The practice continued around us. I stepped close to Natalie and she did not step back. "Okay," I said. We stood on the wet grass in the November cold, and the girls moved back onto the field, and the ordinary extraordinary morning continued around us, and I thought about a blind date that never happened and a door that burst open and two girls in red coats who looked at a stranger and trusted him with the most important thing they had. Some nights you go out looking for one thing and come home with everything. I drove home from Christine's attorney's office 2 years ago and sat in my kitchen alone and made dinner and thought that was the shape my life was going to keep. I was wrong. I am glad I was wrong. If someone unexpected ever ran into your life and changed the whole direction of it, a stranger, a moment, a door that opened when you least expected it, tell me about it below. Those moments deserve to be remembered. Drop it in the comments. Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.